Perek Beis B'Siyata D'Shmaya. Kol Zeh. Everything we have discussed until now. Le'inyan kapora u'machilas ha'avoin shenimcha loy legamri ma'sha'ova al mitzvahs ha'melech k'sha'osa tshuva shlema. Meaning, we've discussed until now the three madrigas of what requires tshuva to be done with it, but also what gives a person a pure kapora according to the level of the avera that he did. So all of this is for a person to get a kapora mechilas ha'avoin, to wipe out everything on that he was over the mitzvahs hamelech. Ve'ein, it's kavaldik zach. Ve'ein maskimin loy dova v'chatzi dova. Amazing. They won't mention a word or even half a word. B'yom hadin, on the day of judgment, la'onshoy al zeh chas v'shalom ba'olam haba. If you do a emes HaTeshuva and you proper with all the the steps that we spoke about, Be'ez Hashem, nothing is mentioned. It's wiped out. It's clean. It's erased. The niftal gamri min adin ba'olam haba. And you're completely exempt from the din in the next world. Nom, there's always a however. Shiel rotzen lifnei Hashem, umerutza v'choviv lefonav yisbar k'koidem achet lias nachas ruach l'koidem avadosoi. You don't just want to wipe out the avera that was done. You want to go back to how it was before you did the avera. In other words, you want to go back to the relationship and the closeness that you had to the Rabbeinu Shalom as if it was before the Avera. You want to do that. Now, Tshuva, it's great that it's mavatal, the punishment up there, but that doesn't mean your relationship is the same. Okay? There was a boy in Yeshiva that always was famously used to say, it was a few years ago, if the owner remembers, the owner here, we're definitely in Yeshiva with him. He used to say, it's easier to say I'm sorry than ask permission. Remember that? It was easier to say I'm sorry than ask permission. Right? Do something wrong, say I'm sorry, rather than ask permission, get a no and you can't do it, right? That says it's not true. And it's based on this also, that when you do something wrong, enachanami, you can say I'm sorry, but there's a problem. You made a problem. So enachanami says sorry, the person's moichel you, but at the end you made a dent in the relationship, you made a separation. And to bring that back to what it was before is very difficult. Anyway, I'll upon him. So he says, if you want the Rabbeinu Shalom to find you as desirable and pleasing as you were before the Aveira, you got to bring a carbon oila. I feel I'm going to say kala she'ema koris. It means it's based in. So you basically, so you got to bring a carbon, and that carbon makes your relationship as it was before the Aveira. Can you get that soon in Daf Hayomi? The oila mechaperes al mitzvahs asay. A carbon oila is machaper for a mitzvah saseh. V'hi doirin la'achas she'osa tshuva minimcha lo ya'onesh. It's like a present. It's like bringing a present. You did an avera. You said, "I'm sorry, I'm moichel you." Then you bring a present. Wow, that's so nice of you. It builds back the relationship again. So when you bring that carbon oila, you're bringing a doirin, a present, after you did tshuva, and therefore everything is kavaldik. If a person angered the king, or praklitin, and he uses now like a mediator, someone in the middle, to sort of make things, to make shalom between the olam, or machaloi, apapikain, even though the king was moichel, and he said, okay, fine, it's okay, he didn't mean it, he was having a bad day, whatever it is, no problem, moichel. Apapikain shalech doirin mincha lafonov, she sratzela liros bnei melech. You want to make sure to give presence to the Melech. You want to make sure to try and develop that relationship to how it was before in some shape to make sure that things are what they were koydem machet. But so you may say, the Tanya, now we don't have a carbon, what am I meant to do? Good. Person doesn't have Eir. He does tshuva. He does all the steps that the Balatanya spelled out in Perek Aleph. But it might say he still has this, non-connection, this distant relationship, which he wants to fix up by bringing a carbon. But unfortunately, by the Senate Rabbim, we don't have a base. I mean, there's really can't bring a carbon. What do? HaTainis u'b'mokem carbon. Here's where the tainis comes in. Yesterday we discussed a little bit more about this, how the tainis is not a chelik of the tshuva, but it's definitely something that helps towards the punishment to be mavatal. Here he's going a step further to say that the tainis that's done is in fact what is like giving the present to the Rabbeinu Shalom to try and get that relationship back to where it was before. Kamosh Kosu B'Gemara, She'emiut Chelbi. That's what we say. We say it also, by the way, by for the zakah. Similar idea that we say that through the fasting that we do on Yom Kippur, the blood, the blood and the fat and everything else that's going away because of the fasting, that should be the carbon that we're giving to Rabbeinu Shalom. Therefore, Matzinu bekama tanoim v'amoyoyim she'al davar kal, even on the most lenient thing, smallest thing, hayu mas'anin taniyos har b'moed, they would fast many tanesim. Kamoi, for example, Rebbe Eliezer ben Azariah, Shoyim Mate, it's very interesting Gemara, this, by the way. Listen to this example that he brings. Shoyim Mate, Shtei Paro Yotze B'Ritzur Shebein Karneo. Rebbe Eliezer ben Azariah allowed a cow to go out on Shabbos, even with a ritzur, like the strap, right? The what do they call it? Knee? Not the strap, the rein. The rein I think is a better one. Between its horns, right? Which on Shabbos Be'etzim is a problem. Why is on Shabbos a problem? It's an Issa D'Rabbanon that a person will assume that you're trying to sell the animal. So it's a machlekes in the Gemara. Rebbe Eliezer ben Azariah said, no problem. V'chachomim oisrim. Upamachas. One time, the neighbor of Rebbe Eliezer ben Azariah went out on Shabbos Kodesh with the cow with the rein between its horns, which he held was mutter, but the Chachamim held was asa, and he did not protest. He didn't say a word, which is okay, right? Because he held it was mutter. This is what the Gemara continues. V'hushcharu shinov mipnei hatsoimes al shaloi kiyem divrei chaveriv. He did so many fast days that his teeth became black because he was fasting so much. Why? Because at the end of the day, even though he held it was mutter, the Chachamim held it was asa, he should have been machni himself to the das of the rabbim of the Chachamim, and he should have made a protest. He didn't. Because of that, he fasted many tanesim, even though he be'etzim held it was mutter. That's the ad kedei kach of the example that the Baal Tanya is bringing us, which is from the Gemara. V'chein, Rabbi Shua, the Gemara Chagiga she'oma, boishni midivreichem beishamai. Once again, v'hushku yishem mepnei hatsoimes Rav Huna b'machas nisapchol v'tzur shel tefillin, right? And you got tefillin straps, right? The ritzurs of the tefillin, right? That are meant to be on the face, of the shining face on the outside, right? And it was twisted. This mem tzoimes, he fasted for 40 days because of that. For Kahina rabbis, there are many examples, which are all of the shas of examples of people that did in Tanoim and Amoraim that did fast for things that like small little things, like what's the big deal? The al yisoid ze limud arizal tamida, the arizal taught his tamidim api chachmas emes mispar atzoimes the kama avonis v'chatoim. How many fasts you have to do for which others? Even though there's no kores, they're not even what we would call the most, the big ones. For example, anger. Person gets angry, it happens, you get angry sometimes, you're a human being, right? You get angry, what happens when you get angry? So he says, Kuf nun alav Tanya, right? 151. That's 151 fasts that you have to do, which is obviously the gematria kas anger, which is why you have to fast, right? So that reason I took this as Tamidim. But I feel like Issa du Abonik by Stam Yenom, right? We just finished the Vodazor in Dafa Yomi. So even Stam Yenom, which is, and Issa du Rabbonon, because it really is doimer to Yain Neser, Yisana Ayin Gimel Tanyos, right? Gematria Yaim, 73 fasts. V'chuli. V'chein a bittul mitzvah say du Abonik by Tfilah Yisana Samach Aleph Tanyos, person misses Tfilah as well. Gematria Ani, he does fast 61 fasts. V'derek klal soit hatainis his skula nifla lis galos rotzon ha'edem baruch kamar korban. So therefore, he says like this. Very big. Okay, let's just finish it. Shenema boy vech v'chol Hashem. K'may shekos v'Yishaya halazet tuket tzoyim v'yoyim rotzon Hashem v'klash tzoyim ne'anitzuhu yoyim rotzon. This is what the Baal Tanya is telling us over here in Pek Base. He's telling us that Avada is not a chelek of what needs to be done in order to affect tshuva. However, if after doing tshuva and you got the kapara, you want to fix that relationship back to what it was before, then is when you need to come on to fasting, because fasting is b'mokim korban, which we don't have, and therefore that's what the fasting accomplishes. Mitzvah Hashem next week, b'siyat Shmaya, Perik Gimel.